Irina, these new restrictions announced today come in three major areas: bars and restaurants, private gatherings and parties, and receptions that might follow ceremonies such as weddings and funerals. So first, concerning the bars and restaurants, they now must close at 10 p.m. except for takeout. There'll be no bar counter seating and no games allowed such as darts or pool. Now this goes into effect this Friday. Concerning receptions, starting November 27th, they are limited to 50 people, and starting December 11th, 25 people. The phased-in approach is because a lot of people already have these events planned, and this concerns just the reception that follows the ceremony, whether it's a wedding or funeral or other ceremony that's planned. Lastly, parties and social gatherings, whether indoor or outdoor, are limited to 3 families, including the host, and 10 people total. This goes into effect this Friday, and it does include Thanksgiving. I asked how the state will enforce it.
Obviously, on this issue, we're not going into someone's home and arresting them on Thanksgiving. We're really at the point in this where we've crossed 10 million. Most of the projections show the spike that's happening here is going to be catastrophic throughout the upper Midwest and a large portion of the country. I'm trying to get the information out for folks who are saying, what is the right way to approach this? How do we get through the end of this? And I think putting out that guidance, putting out that clarity around it is based on the data, based on the science. But the enforcement mechanism is really like so much of this. It's folks making that social compact to help not just their own family, their neighbors.
And Governor Walz stressed that right now, community transmissions make up the vast majority of new COVID-19 cases, and state officials are most concerned about the asymptomatic spread among young adults. So they're hoping that these specific measures will help lower the big boom in cases among that group. Back to you.
All right, thank you.